After being shut down for more than 8 hours, the eastbound lanes on the Sherman Mitten opened back up tonight. The lanes flowing into Kentucky from Indiana were shut down after a truck crashed into a painter's platform. It's our top story on the night team. I'm Connie Leonard. Doug has the night off. Bridge inspectors say the crash did not cause any structural damage, and they were able to reopen the lanes just past 8 this evening. As the night team's Taylor Woods and photojournalist Elijah McKenzie found out, community members are frustrated with the constant closures.
Drivers were in bumper-to-bumper traffic for hours after the Sherman Mitten's eastbound lanes were temporarily closed.
Oh, here we go again.
Matthew Yates was on his way towards the Sherman Mitten Bridge and quickly found out its eastbound lanes were closed after a crash involving a truck damaged a painter's platform on the bridge Friday afternoon.
I thought it was open, and of course it wasn't. Then I had to go all the way down to Jeffersonville, cross the Kennedy, pay the $5 toll.
He was concerned since he was initially told the bridge would be closed until further notice, in addition to the westbound lanes of I-64, which will remain closed until next Wednesday.
To some, it might not even be that big of a deal, but I mean, to others, I'm pinching pennies.
But eventually, the Sherman Mitten Bridge reopened at 8:34 p.m. Friday evening.
The town is empty even the regular people.
Michel Nassim, owner of Bella Roma, was also worried. His restaurant is normally packed at 6:15 on Fridays. Nassim said most of his customers were stuck in traffic coming from Louisville to New Albany.
Because I open here for like almost 15 years. But I never see like here. My table is all empty.
He's concerned about his business with the construction and temporary closures on the bridge.
When you ask anybody when is going to open, nobody knows anything.
Around the corner at Eureka Menswear, owner Dan Hardesty feels Nassim's frustration.
Every time you look, there's a construction on the bridge.
Hardesty's vintage clothing store was impacted a year ago by major construction in the area.
And we always joke around saying, gosh, you could have built another bridge or 2 bridges by the time this thing is done.
In the meantime, Yates is hoping there is a solution to have the Sherman Mitten Bridge fully reopened one day.
Figure it out, please.
In New Albany, Indiana, Taylor Woods, WHAS 11 night team on your side.
And again, eastbound lanes on the Sherman Mitten are now reopened, but westbound lanes of I-64 will stay closed through Wednesday due to a previously scheduled closure. Well, 6:30, that's the magic number tonight. The last student riding the JCPS bus was dropped off 30 minutes earlier than the last student yesterday. JCPS also noted that a majority of students were dropped off before 6, and at 6:19, only 1 student remained on a JCPS bus. Now, this, of course, is for JCPS students that were not in any after-school activities. There may have been a few buses out on the roads after 6:30, but they were dropping off students who took part in after-school practices like football. And although the new transportation plan is a big improvement over last year, the cutbacks to make this year's plan work means more parents are sitting in long car lines. Some parents waited for more than an hour today to pick up their child. The night team's Alexander Goldberg and photojournalist Elijah McKenzie spoke with parents this afternoon.
Car after car.
It was not this bad.
Now parents in JCPS pickup lines are facing the longer wait times.
It has not been easy for parents.
At Audubon Traditional Elementary School, the dismissal bell rang at 3:20. And that's when Kim Brodsky arrived to pick up her grandchildren. But over half an hour later, she was still one of the many cars inching forward on Hess Lane.
Hopefully it gets better.
When we first arrived around 3:45, the carpool lane was backed up all the way down Hess Lane. But by 4 p.m., the congestion was nearly gone. Parents, however, are still asking for changes to the JCPS transportation plan.
The line has died down anyway, but improvement needs to be done.
Local homeowners around Audubon Elementary say they too are affected by the traffic jams.
But this road has been absolutely terrible, just absolutely terrible. Hess Lane has.
Judith Basham has lived in Audubon Park for many years.
More cars are on here than they ever have been.
During drop-off and pickup, she can see the lines from her back porch.
It's backed up all the way as far as I could see both ways.
She says Hess Lane typically sees high speeds, but this week the 2-lane road has been at a standstill.
Bumper to bumper. They do it all morning long, just line up in here to go here. They let your children out.
JCPS leaders talking with reporters yesterday acknowledged the backups in car pickup lines, noting Hess Lane as a problem area.
You're talking about a school that was built many years ago and a lot of things have changed since then. And so getting cars in and out is never going to be easy right there.
They say it'll take a while to come up with a permanent solution, but in the meantime, they hope to use JCPS police to help resolve traffic issues. In Louisville, Alexander Goldberg, WHAS11 Night Team on your side.
And as JCPS continues to look for solutions in the traffic patterns, other drivers will need to figure out ways to navigate around those car lines. Today at Farnsley Middle School, the car line was so deep that the school building was hard to see from the middle of the line. It stretched down a busy industry road, and at one point while our crews were there, a semi attempted to turn around and completely block the road. Now concerns are growing over how this traffic may impact emergency services.
I'm fortunate to where I actually choose work intentionally to be flexible in case of situations like this, but most parents don't have that option.
Now, another parent told us they received an email from Farnsley staff saying there's 650 car riders this year, which she says was a massive jump from last year. The school changed how students go out to cars because of the increase. Now they're called by number when their ride shows up. New tonight, LMPD is seeking the public's help in identifying a man they say threw a puppy into the air. And we want to warn you, the video is disturbing. The incident happened Tuesday night. Police say surveillance footage from a home on Berry Boulevard captures a man throwing a puppy into the air by its scruff. The surveillance video shows the man walk away after the puppy hits the concrete. Moments later, another person walks past and notices the obviously injured dog and appears to care for it. LMPD says the man in this photo is now wanted for felony torture and animal cruelty, and they would also like to identify the person that helped that pup, saying they want to check the status of the injured animal. Anyone with information should contact the anonymous tip line at 574-LMPD. In Lexington, police there are investigating after one person was killed and 5 others were injured in an overnight shooting. According to police officers that responded to the shooting just after midnight at El Cid, that's just off Winchester Road, they say when they arrived, they found 6 people who had been shot. 31-year-old Antoine Clay was pronounced dead on the scene. The other 5 were taken to the hospital where they are expected to survive. The restaurant where the shooting happened was already given an eviction notice a few months ago. A judge ruling the business had to be out by Monday. Police are currently searching for the suspects in the shooting. We're learning more information about why the mayor's deputy chief of staff, Keisha Dorsey, was fired. Her firing comes as she filed ethics complaints against the mayor's office for discrimination. In a letter she got from Deputy Mayor David James this week, Dorsey was reprimanded for allegedly lobbying a council member for a proposed ordinance and then trying to hide it from the mayor's office. Now, Dorsey, a former council member herself, says she was working as a private citizen to enhance support for veterans. She was later fired from her job as the mayor's deputy chief of staff, and now Dorsey is calling for an investigation into Greenberg's administration.
And we will take down a corrupt administration that is trying to oppress the voices of women. Not just oppress us, but take us out. It is time that we stand together.
All of us, myself included, need to be accountable to who we work for, which is the people of Louisville. And we are stewards of taxpayer dollars that have a responsible to excel at our work and to meet professional standards.
An attorney for the Metro Ethics Commission confirmed they received a submission from Dorsey through their tip line, but he clarified temps aren't officially complaints yet under the ethics code until the person actually goes under oath. We are told the commission will review the case at its next meeting Thursday. New information on LMPD's body camera policy changes. Mayor Craig Greenberg is sharing his thoughts on what this means for transparency within LMPD. In most cases, LMPD will no longer hold news conferences, instead sharing the videos with pre-recorded messages and narration.
To release officer-involved shooting body cam footage within 10 days. We are going to continue to do that. We released a nearly 30-minute video package yesterday that had all of the information. We will continue to do that. The chief and I will continue to always be available to answer questions about officer-involved shootings or any other matter, just as we always have been.
And some of the other changes made, they will release the identities of officers involved within 72 hours, and the chief will give immediate updates at the scene. The University of Kentucky is seeking the dismissal of some claims of a Title IX lawsuit filed by 2 former swim coaches. They allege they were sexually abused by then head coach Lars Jorgensen, and the university failed to address the complaints. Briggs Alexander and an unnamed defendant filed the lawsuit earlier this year. The 2 accused the university of negligence in hiring the head swim coach because he had a questionable background. In its motion filed today, UK argues it has sovereign immunity as a state institution, and it cannot be held liable for Jorgensen's conduct as it did not fall within the scope of his employment. UK says once complaints were filed, they acted in good faith to address the issues and acted within its authority. Jorgensen has denied all allegations of sex abuse. Tonight, we're learning more about why new Chapel EMS is stopping all 911 service in Clark County effective September 1st. The fire board in Utica Township ended its contract with New Chapel Fire on Wednesday, forcing the agency to evacuate its headquarters within 30 days. The Fire Protection District was 2 years into a 10-year contract, but felt they had legal standing to do this because they were not getting adequate fire service. New Chapel says it was providing a fire service, but doesn't plan on fighting the decision. A spokesperson says they were trying to fix all their departmental issues, but they will do what the community wants.
Our hope had been that the community would have the patience to work with us on that and go along with it, but we understand this is really an emotional issue. We understand that this is something close to the heart for a lot of people.
New Chapel is planning to move to a new facility and keep doing non-emergency transports. They are unsure how many employees they'll be able to keep. An update tonight on the Providence Mill Dam. The Indiana Department of Natural Resources has filed a temporary restraining order on all the work on the dam. It comes after the city of New Albany started making safety improvements without a permit. According to court documents, the city was denied a permit to work on the dam to improve safety around Silver Creek Landing and Glen Mill Park. New Albany Mayor Jeff Gahan signed a state of emergency and authorized emergency construction. Crews started to place fill in the floodway. Well, in court documents, Indiana DNR says this was to go around the denied permit. Earlier this week, the department issued an infraction against the mayor and the city for working without a permit. And now the DNR is asking the court to legally restrain the city from working on the dam and take out any of the fill that they put in.